What is going on, guys? It is Dylan here. Today we'll be going over a ticker symbol analysis on the ticker symbol SMCI. Before we get to the video, just want to let you know we'll be doing a price prediction using a variety of different technical analysis techniques. We will not be skepticizing long-term price targets, guys. We're going to be using strictly data-based information with a non-biased perspective to see where the stock price may or may not go within the next few days and or weeks. So right away, guys, SMCI is in a major spot, holding this key range, really coming out nice and tight. Candles getting pretty thin under this major resistance marker. So we will get into this on multiple different time frames. Let's go start off on the weekly. On the weekly time frame of SMCI, guys, we see a lot of major data points within the past that is going to help us predict and see where stock price will go in the future. This is very, very simple, and this is why one of the best quotes within stocks is when in doubt, zoom out. Because if we hyperanalyze these little candles on a weekly, we get really, really fit. It's not really going to do much for us, guys. Looking at the deep structure of things, you clearly see we're in a three-phase schematic. One being down here, stock price surged up, right? Got very, very tight before having this incredible breakout. And we will highlight this, guys, as you typically never see, especially on the weekly chart, stock be this strong. So keep that in your back pocket, guys. When SMCI breaks out, we see a lot of momentum. This is untold, will never happen in a lot of stocks. So you did see that happen, right? The volume pick up. We had that incredible run. But then right after that, guys, we had this consolidation pushing up right at this bar right here before confirming to the down. And according, you've seen a very, very nasty drop, guys. We're tracing about 80% of stock price down to these lows before buyers said, hey, might be a little bit too cheap. We push back up, right? We reclaim these lows over here. A little bit of a false breakdown below this low. So we went a couple bucks below it before we regained it. And then within that phase, guys, we are ascending lower. This descending resistance has picked up, knocked the price down here, and has held it right here. So, considering, guys, we have this descending resistance really being the gatekeeper for these upper levels, guys, to get really exciting for the long-term buyers of SMCI and just the stock price in general. But not only do we have that descending resistance stepping up, we have that massive $48 level, guys. Roughly in this area, stock price came plummeting all the way and bounced off this level for coming up about, between 50 bucks and 65, coming right back down, testing that level once, twice, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row before completely flushing at that level. Really letting you know on this big movement that this is the level we need to respect, guys. Right? It's a great example. We come back down, false break between these lows, come up, reject again, right? Come up, we test, and we break over this time, guys. Very, very nice. But we picked up resistance in this descending resistance marker before coming lower, right back down into this consolidation and testing that resistance marker one more time. That was a handful to say, guys, but you do see we have a lot of conflicting points, right? We have a 1, 2, 3 setup. If we can confirm this $48 major level where stock was pressed against for multiple weeks in a row, really respecting that level, then you would expect a big price target, guys, as big patterns do yield the most results and yield the biggest results. So if we take the major swing lows, the major support being this region over here to the top of that resistance marker, and this is being very, very conservative, guys, over to the top. Say we do claim that level, you would easily expect these $70 levels, 65, to be hit. And I think that's being pretty conservative, guys. Even if we get a 50% retracement back up to this $77, $80 level, wouldn't really surprise me, guys. Of course, if we do confirm, this will take time, guys. Of course, it won't just, we could, just run up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green weeks, rushing up 300% or, whatever that was. We could do that, guys, but, it can take some time with some pauses in between. But once we effectively break that, guys, it will be looking very, very nice for the bulls, considering we're back down to these major lows. There's not really a lot of area to drop. There really isn't much more lower you can go. Once we dip below these lows, there is this kind of gap in support, but this is a major spot where stock patiently sat for a very, very long time before having the biggest breakout in SMCI history. So to be consolidating back on this level with a 1, 2, 3 schematic, and seeing this volume step up, you clearly see, right, when we're in this past region, we didn't have that volume over here. It was very, very thin. So now we're seeing volume pick up 4 times more back in this consolidation. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 2, guys. You got to be bullish as far as the weekly, but it's hard to be 100% bullish because, right, we do have this major descending resistance coming up, stealing the life out of the stock whenever we get to this area. It's continued to do that over the years. And we have that big, big, big $48 resistance markers, guys, being right here. So kind of having that double resistance here, guys, that's really going to be the main spot where SMCI needs to break out of. Once that happens, there is, in theory, a lot of room to the upside, guys. But to flip it on the other side, guys, if we do break this ascending support and break out of this consolidation, you would expect stock price to go lower. So within the last video, guys, we did mention how there's a lot more buying pressure on the daily time frame. When we get a nice big zoomed out perspective, just looking at the overall structure of where the buyers are at and where the sellers are at. When the sellers win this battle, yes, they do step in abruptly at these highs and shove the stock down very, very violently, but the buyers are waiting at these levels. Even these got, high fear moments, they attempted to pick up the stock before it got flushed. Being in this consolidation down here, you would expect after this pretty negative action for buyers not really to step up too much, but they did. They stepped into these lows. We've seen this very big bullish engulfing, and we just kind of confluenced right down at the zone before we had this nice big wide bar to shove us out of this descending resistance marker. So on the daily perspective, guys, we do see the buyers winning. Not only are they pressing stock price up out of these hard, low moments, but they get the follow through. Despite this ugly seller action over here, besides that, guys, really the buyers have been in control. There's been some bad news gap down, and we still remain to recover. So you got to figure how many times will this recover before this run is solidified. Within the last video, we did mark up down at this hammer candle over here in arrows. We did expect this to be the low. Stock price had this beautiful wide bar to exit this descending resistance marker after really just being disciplined and triple bottoming at these lows. And that's the sign you want to see, guys. A nice big move like this. We gapped up immediately before retracing exactly down to that gap area. We're stock gapped up, leaving that room where it has to go fill, as 95% of stocks do fill for gaps. That's more or less when. So to come back down, test this resistance marker, and then drag down perfectly to that level, guys, it did look pretty good. We did expect this to be a low area. Potentially this blue box, but this was the areas we do got marked up. We will delete that. Now, so seen as of now, guys, we have 2 doji candles on the time frame forming indecision. But the main thing we just got to take away from the daily, guys, once again, we could break down a lot of these nuances, is this zone, right? We have to break over this. If stock price does climb around that 45, 56, 46 level, and we claim over that descending resistance marker, that's big, guys. We weren't able to do that in the past. So you've seen we waked out. But the main marker point we have to watch, guys, is $48. So even on the daily time frame, seeing that $48 is the next gatekeeper to these next higher level, 56, 60, 70. It really does recycle right back to the weekly, guys. How important this level truly is. You've seen in the past, when we got over that level, guys, we gapped up from 48 to 56 the next day. Doesn't mean that has to happen, but once we get over that 48, there's not going to be little to any bears who want to step up in this area, especially considering that this descending resistance marker will be broken at that point. So there just will not be any room at all for these bears to survive in these waters. So as of now, guys, this really is the short seller's last chance to shove the stock price down, because we could see a very big reversal flip on the daily and weekly time frame. Seeing that double confirmation definitely does lead our thesis to be a little bit stronger. We did reject off this point, so this makes it even more critical, guys. If we can bounce off the support and retest that again, that would be something that we haven't done in quite some time, until really never. Whenever we're at this descending resistance, we immediately flush, and immediately flush. Once again, guys, pausing for 1-2 days and getting destroyed. So we're right back down to that major spot, guys. Seeing stock price kind of just thin out here, setting that potential higher low. It definitely does look good. We're seeing early signs of a bullish reversal to break this descending resistance. but it would be irresponsible to say, for a fact our bias will be bullish, and we could say that convincingly. So with that being said, guys, let's go jump over to the hourly to go get the short-term analysis to wrap up this whole image we have on SMCI. So sometimes we get to the hourly point of stocks, guys, and that's where we really get to see the nitty-gritty. Where will stock price get up? We see a beautiful bull flag that's giving the multi-time frame breakout, something like this. Not really the case with SMCI. If you followed the last video, you remember that we talked about this descending resistance getting very, very tight right down to this level. And we did say if we see a little bit of a move up over this level, anywhere up, you would see some upside to come. Did get that surge up about $3, nothing crazy, about an 8% movement before kind of just consolidating within these two beans. So, of course, guys, we do this marker point drawn up, but now we do see, since we have more data points, the trend line is actually shifted, guys. This is readjusted to about over here. So we do see a channel on the hourly, and we're pressed up right against that zone. So this will be a very, very interesting spot to watch, as now we're working with a little bit of a bull flag. Before this trend line was just too steep, too sharp down here to say it's a flag, but now we're really starting to see a little bit of a flag. So if you watch SMCI very closely, guys, let's keep an eye on this channel. Potentially we could, bounce off that leading into tomorrow, but that's really going to depend on how the open is. If we open strong, guys, we could see that momentum rise and get that nice surge to maybe 44.50 tomorrow. Get closer and closer to this very, very big descending resistance marker, which we will put red, as it's super, super critical. And of course, this $48 level. So that's what we're working with on the hourly. Arguably a little bit of a cup and handle, being a cup formation coming down, sellers winning the stock before the buyers step back up, making a bullish again, revisiting these highs before pausing again, before potentially choosing the trend, guys. So there is a lot of interesting things to see on this chart, but we got to keep it simple. On the hourly, we really just see this channel. That's the only meaningful thing we see. We do see stock price of this nice surge, breaking over these highs and potentially setting that higher low, but nothing too eventful, guys. So with that being said, we will wrap this up, guys. Obviously, keep an eye on this consolidation in a very zoomed out perspective on the daily. We get even a better image of that. Once we close over that, look at it, guys. Look at what we did. Just a beautiful movement. Once we close below that here, incredible movement to the downside. So, do you have to see some crazy movement, guys, where stock price moves up all the way like this, and we'll even take half this move at 150%. We revisit $95. I'm not saying that, guys, but in theory, that definitely can happen. It won't surprise me. Seen these setups a lot of times throughout the years, and if we confirm the downside, it will likely just be a very painful, slow drag. A lot of long-term buyers exiting their positions and long-term bears just holding and, just continuing to compound in their positions. Right, other side around, if we do break these resistance markers, you could see a short squeeze, guys. You could see some very, very exciting movement up. As we've seen in the past, SMCI has that capability. We're seeing the volume pick in when in the past we didn't within this area. And most importantly, guys, we've retracted all the way back down. So what comes up, guys, what comes down, guys, has to come up. What comes up has to come down. So there's a lot more energy to go up, as clearly the stock has had a very nasty retracement. And there's been a lot of pain to come out of the stock. So within this point, it definitely does have more room to the upside. With that being said, guys, keep an eye on these major market points. $48 really being the line in the sand. We do have these support zones. Keep an eye on those as well. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that. We will be covering SMCI a couple times a week. Just depends on how many times you guys want to see the videos. With that being said, guys, take care. Trade smart. Watch the market points. And peace.